your names in now. And then just mute your mics. I don't know if you have them on, but just mute them if they are on. Okay? Have to go by time. You can go more by skill and pricing by skill. Okay. However, you're going to run your business if that's what you choose to do. Okay. So, and that's pretty much it. You're still going to go in and do a lash bath. You can still go in and prime, and then you'll go in and lay down the under eye pads, and you'll still take. And then if you can figure out the mapping, then you can do the mapping on your under eye pad. And that's just basically taking an extension and just kind of measuring what's already there so that you can go back and fill. Okay. Any questions so far on the refills? No? Okay. So now if you're going to do a full on removal, so we talked about banana peel, but if you go in and do a full on removal, then what you're going to do, the procedure is slightly different when you're doing a removal. Where we normally place the under eye pad on the top of the lower lashes, we are now placing that under eye pad underneath the lashes on the lower lash line. Okay, because what we need is for the eye to stay sealed while we put the remover on. Okay, so then after you do that, you are going to make sure that you have enough product. So I know for some of our mentalities, it's like, oh, I'm just going to use the bare minimum. With the remover, no, I want you to be generous with the remover. Put a nice thick coating along the lash line. Well, I say lash line, where the adhesive bonds are at, okay? Because it doesn't need to be like buttered onto the skin at all, because your gel remover is a gel form of acetone. So it's a chemical. So we just need that where the adhesive bonds are at on the lash line, and that's it. You're just going to dot it all the way across, just like that. We're not going to go through and swipe it all the way up, because we don't really need to swipe it all the way up. We need almost an opaque layer to where that remover will be able to go through and eat through the adhesive bond, so that then it'll break it and we can go through and slide off those extensions easily. But if you grab your gel removal bottle and flip it to the back side, you will see that it says it needs to stay on for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so leave it on for 3 to 5 minutes. At this time, you can tidy up. Okay, if you have any trash around your cart, pick up your trash. If you've dropped something, pick it up. If you need your tweezers to be sanitized, you can go in or if you have them sanitizing, you can go in and check on your tweezers. If you've forgotten any supplies, anything like that, or if you want to go in and write notes, you should always have consultation notes for every service that you do, even if it is just a gel removal. You know, Sally Ann, this was her style. She had great retention, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You should always have notes. Because here's the question. Here, I have a question for you. When you go to the doctor, do they not write notes every single time? Like they're sitting there typing everything that you're saying. So it should be the same thing for your client, because you owe it, honestly, to yourself and to your client to know what's going on at every visit. Okay. So that's critical to retention, client retention. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is pull up the lash removal presentation, and I'll just walk you through that. Okay. So when we go to our first slide, this is what your setup should look like. You should have hand sanitizer. So you should be sanitizing your hands whenever you put something down and pick something else up, or if you're not working on your client and you turn around and you grab something, you should always sanitize your hands. Okay. We are still in a pandemic. Okay. So we've got to be conscious of that, right? We've got to be conscious of cross-contamination. And honestly, we all only get one pair of eyes, and we can't go buy another set. And the last thing you want is for a client to come back and say, you did something to my eyes. What did you do? Okay. If you have those consultation notes, it'll give you more of an idea, because once you start seeing clients day in and day out, it starts to blur. All right. So anyway, your cart setup, you want to have hand sanitizer, your 3D gel removal, your 3D lash shampoo, your hook neck water bottle, a fan, whether it's rechargeable or battery operated, and then all your disposables. So your disposables are going to consist of your under eye pads, either a paper towel or 2x2 squares. You're going to have your lip gloss applicator ones, your micro swabs, and then a spoolie. Okay. You can also have your tweezers on your cart. Sometimes I like to use my tweezers to make sure that I get all the residue off the natural lash. Okay. Then you'll need a solution. A saline solution or eye wash. You're going to need a client head drape as well, because you want to make sure that you have everything out of your way and that you have that barricade between your client's skin and your skin. Okay. All right. Any questions on the setup? No? Okay. Yes, Margarita.
Hi, are you showing us a presentation? Because we don't see anything online.
I do that all the time. I'm sorry. Here we go. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, here you go. Okay, so good thing we didn't get all the way through. So that's your supplies for your removal. So you can take a picture or take notes. Like I said, it is in your classroom. You can always refer back.
We're still just seeing our main page. Oh, there you go.
What the heck, man?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna confess. Last night I recorded the video, and then today I got here, and the video wasn't downloaded to my email. And I think it's because the computer needed to update. So I updated the computer, and I still don't have the video for last night's lecture. So if you don't see it, that's why. I'm going to keep looking for it and see if it downloads. And if not, you can always refer to the AM lecture. So that's my confession, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. Let me get my mask back on. Okay, so now in our third slide, why is it doing that? Why does it have this on there? Okay, so now the overview. So this is basically your steps on your process. So you want to place the under iPads. Notice how it's cap, not no cap, all cap, under lower lashes. Okay. Then what you're going to do is apply remover to the glue bonds and be generous. Don't over glop it, but don't under glop it. Okay. Then you want to make sure you avoid contact with the skin. So it should not touch the skin at all. Then you're going to let that remover sit 3 to 5 minutes before working your lashes off. Okay. Now here's a big thing that I'm going to say, because we have communication in our hands at least 24/7, almost, right? So during this 3 to 5 minutes, what I highly suggest and recommend is that you stay off your cell phone, at least, until you're done with your client. Because something happens and then you're like, oh man, I got to take care of this. Then you forget about your client. But your client has paid you for this time. So your time needs to be focused and your attention needs to be focused on the client. Okay? All right. So then cleanse again with lash shampoo and dry. All right. So once they start to come off, you want to make sure you get them all off. Now, here's what I see a lot of is after they've been washed, I get called over because there's white hard clumps on the lash line. Well, if you think about science and adhesive needs moisture to cure, right? So if there's still adhesive on that lash line and you went through and you put a shampoo and you did an amazing lash bath and then you dry them and you see those hard white rocks on there, it's because you cured or over polymerized those adhesive drops that are on there. So now you can either grab your tweezers and try to crack them, but they are like rock ass solid. So more than likely, you're going to have to go back with that remover and apply it again and let it sit again and then slowly work it off after the 5 minutes. It tells you 3 to 5. Let's do the 5. Okay. Let's let it do what it has to do for the 5 minutes. Okay. So then you'll go through and you'll get all that remover off. And I like using a sharp pointed tweezer to slide all that off. Now, if it's going to be the tweezer that I lash with, I need to remember to go wash them and then sanitize them before I use them, because you need to get that remover off. You don't want to work backwards. Okay? Excuse me. I'm sorry. All right. So now removal, here's your process. You want to incline the client's head and avoid elevating their legs during the removal, just because you don't want anything to cause them to open their eyes or make them feel uncomfortable or anything drain into their eyes. Okay. And then you want to place the under eye pads under the lower lashes. The under eye pad is here as a palette and protection for the under eye area. Then what you want to do is pump out gel remover onto a microfiber wand. Now, what I tend to use just because I have a reduce, reuse, recycle state of mind, what I'll do is I'll just grab the backing from the under eye pad or the gel pad, and I'll dispense a good little amount on that, and I'll use that as my working palette. And then when I'm done, I throw it away. Okay. That's one thing you also have to remember is when you're working and you have your lash cart next to you, you should have a little trash can that you can just press with your foot to throw your trash in the trash can and not compile it on your sanitized items that you are using to work on your client's eyes. There should not be trash on your working cart. It should go straight to the trash can. Okay? Now, you want to peel away the extensions and discard them. So you can keep a paper towel off to the side and then wipe those extensions that are coming off onto that paper towel. Then when you're completely done, you'll discard it in your trash can. Okay. Then you want to wipe away excess gel and you want to rinse it well with distilled water. And then you're going to follow through with a lash bath, flushing the eye to ensure that all gel remover has been cleared from the eye area. Because what tends to happen is you're like, okay, now you can open your eyes. Well, you don't know that you haven't gotten all of that acetone off of that client's lash line. And when they open their eyes, they get a burning sensation. So what does that mean? That means that when you're going through and doing the rinsing process, you're actually going to have to use your thumb more than likely to lift that lid and tell them, I need to lift your eyelid so I can give a thorough rinse on that seal. Okay. So you may end up opening their eye just a tad, and then you're going to rinse all of that out. Okay. So that way we have all that remover off the lash line and off and out of the eye area. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Nope. All right. So then cleanse with the shampoo, rinse with distilled water, blot the lashes, and then you can go in and do your lash blowout. You'll use a spoolie and your little fan and you'll blow dry the lashes. Okay. Then these are some tips for you. You want to make sure that you incline the client's head. Cleansing before will help to remove debris and oil and speed up the process. So you can do a lash bath beforehand. Then you're going to place the under eye pad below the lashes to avoid breaking the mucosal line. Be gentle and reapply remover as needed. You want to avoid contact with the skin and then keep the eye wash near in case of emergency. Because sometimes they'll open their eye, even though you did a thorough rinse, they'll open their eye and they'll say, oh my God, I still feel it, it's burning. And then you're like, oh my God, what do I do? You reach for that bottle, you open that eye and you rinse it out. Okay, you got to act fast. Because as fast as they're telling you that it burns is as fast as how you need to move. Okay, so let's see. Is this him teaching it? No, that's the wrong one. Okay.
So we're gonna start.
No, not that one. This one. And it's not sharing. This one? No, not that one. This one? Yes. Okay. All right. So this is.
At the top. Okay, so I wanted all of you to
Can y'all
see
hear?
a demo of a live
Okay.
demo of gel removal because I think that makes it a little bit easier. So for you guys, we're doing this on a live model.
Sorry, there's like a lot of.
2 weeks ago. You had quite a bit of fallout.
A lot of
there.
Can you mute yourself?
So I'm going to start by assessing how her natural lashes look. I do have her slightly.
I asked, is that
elevated,
better
but
after I
I'm
muted the
saying
mic?
on the head, you guys can always just
Okay.
make sure that you're not elevated, and you can prop her up on a couple of pillows, or you could pull one of these chairs. But the reason we want them elevated is because that gel remover has to go right up to the base of their eyelid, and so I don't want that to go and burn. So I'm going to comb through and just kind of see what we have going on. So of course, always sanitizing my hands. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this as a beginner, of course, I've done lashes for a long time, so I feel comfortable with my tweezers. But you can go ahead and put the gel pads on now when you're going through, because you really have to examine to see what this is. Now, the situations for a gel removal in the real world, a lot of lash artists do not lash after other people's work, which I completely respect. You want a brand new set, so if they come in from somewhere else and you want that everything to be fresh and new and all your work, that's perfectly okay. Some people do. What I find more than anything, because the majority of my career was done with corrective work, we would have to do removals where they went someplace that the stickies were so bad that there was no way that we were going to be able to lash or refill it between them. So if you want to start that policy with your new, especially after you have a year or so of experience, if you want to start that policy where you're not going to lash after someone else, you absolutely can. Now, a gel removal, usually they're booked off in increments of 30 minutes. But what I will tell you is that you need a price that's set for that. Usually it's $25 to $50 for every 30 minutes. The reason being is because if somebody has made a complete mess out of her lash line, a gel removal can take up to 2 hours. And so you want to make sure that you're compensated for it. So if you'll look up and back for me, and like I said yesterday, we're going to put the gel pads right up underneath her bottom lashes. We're not going to put them on top of the lashes because we don't want to put pressure on that mucosal line and risk opening her eye. Okay, go ahead and close for me. Sticking, tagging. Okay. And you always want to ask on that, even whenever you're putting them on, because if something is sticking or tugging, it's going to be uncomfortable. I don't want the eyes to water because that water will carry the gel remover right into her eye, and you're going to have to rinse it and then start over immediately. Okay, so if you look up and back for me and see, I just start by propping this in. We bump those right up against the lashes, and then you just flip it down onto the skin. Go ahead and close for me. Any sticking or tugging? Okay. Okay. So we want to examine and see exactly what she has going on. I can see it from here. She said that she had these done 2 weeks ago. You can see that they're really, really far out from the base. So making sure that you're only a millimeter from the base will kind of help with that too. But I'm also seeing a lot of extension to extension sticky, and then I'm seeing a little bit of natural lash to her extensions. And he did these?
Yeah, I forgot. I've been 2 weeks ago that I'm done here. Like we were practicing on each other.
Well, and with them being new, these fans are, and with these actually are a little bit heavy for her. So you oftentimes see that too, because you can see how long the length is. And you guys can come around. If you want, I don't know. So you can see the length is a little bit too heavy. It's much more than that 4 millimeter rule that we would usually have. And the size of the fan. This is an absolute never with these, unless they were 0.03s, but even with 0.03s, none of these bases have wrapped around her natural lashes. So these should come off easily. For me, I just always peel through them to see exactly what I can get removed before I go with the gel remover. But see how large that fan is? Way too large with 0.07s or 0.5s. And the bases have T-barred, meaning that there's no natural wrap around the base. This one just came out by itself, so that was ready to release, meaning that that was on an adult lash. And you would do the same thing before you did a refill surface. You just go through and pick out anything that's overgrown. If you have some stickies here, it looks like there's excessive adhesive. But I'm not trying to hurt her, so I'm just going to kind of wiggle back and forth. See right here, we got something weird going on. And I'm going to give that a tug just to see if I can get anything to release with your fans. You can usually get them to. And nothing releases. And then this one, do you see how high that is? That's honestly about 5 millimeters up in a lash. So that would have to come off if you were doing a refill. So you want to clean, even if it's your work, when they come in for a refill, you do this. You pick through them. And so if anything is lifted, anything is crisscrossed, they've created some of their own stickies, maybe by doing mascara or not cleaning on a regular basis. And you peel these off before you go in to do your refill so that you kind of clean your canvas. With this, it's barely hanging on for dear life. So I'm gonna banana peel that just left to right, always anchoring. Let's go in. See if I can get just as much of it as I can. And then we'll let the gel remover do that. But these are very, very large. For these 0.07s that they were using, that's what these look like.
I'm not sure.
And of course, we're recording so that they can see this at home, and we'll zoom in a little bit more. But when you're checking someone's lashes to see when they come in, where this becomes a nightmare is because we have these lovely little nail salons to do lashes, as though it's in their scope of practice, or like they're not going to hurt someone. And so we had a situation at the Lash Lounge where there was a nail salon that was doing them. And for an extra $25 fee, they would run a line of adhesive all the way across the base of the lashes so that it would increase retention. And that's where I was flown out to California, and I had to teach an extensive gel removal class because the girls were burning the crap out of their eyes. But we also settled on the fact that anyone who came in from that salon, and they created a really loyal clientele, so it was a win-win for the owner and all of the girls that were there because they knew what they were talking about. But yeah, sometimes it would take 3 hours if we were, and then we had to work with whatever we had left because it was just like this. The work was very heavy, and because everything had been glued together right here along the baseline, any of that natural growth rate, because you have to know that all the lashes are growing at a different rate. So any traction that they have, like they come in with red swollen eyes and they were hurting. And what I can caution you against is when something like this happens, sending them to the ER or saying, hey, we had a lot of people who would do that because the girls were all new. Doctors don't like lash extensions at all. They think that they are the most unhealthy thing for the eye. And so I have to appreciate that. But if you send them into the ER, what they will do is they will take a scalpel and they will cut the lash line right at her natural lid. So they will not do a gentle gel removal. And so just letting them know that there are options, but that's really what you're building clientele to. And then if you speak to them about the importance of this is too heavy, this is too much, this can't be supported, that's how you can gain a clientele. Now, I always keep a paper towel because that's state board, or you can also have, you can choose to put a headband on them. But for the gel removal, the gel remover has to go directly at the base of a natural lash line. And where you guys get a little bit scared of this is a jelly form of acetone, right? So you can put this in a gel ring if you want, but I'm going to tell you, you need a ton of it, especially if they have used way too much adhesive when adhering them. You need a ton of it from a bottle that actually works, unlike this one. You just have to be mean to it for a while. And so not using enough, if you've ever seen those little white crystallized pieces on someone's lashes, the reason that you see that is because they've not used enough. So it's not because the gel remover causes it. So you have to use a thick layer, almost like you're frosting a cake. But remember, this is a jelly form of acetone, so we want to be extreme. Yes. So we want to be extremely cautious, and I talk her through this. So she's elevated in this chair, and I'm going to be placing this right at the base of the lashes. So what I tell her is that this will touch the skin. You can feel it may heat up a little bit, but under no circumstances should this burn. If at any time this burns, you let me know immediately, and we will rinse it and then restart it. You also let them know that this is a silent service, and so we don't tell jokes. We are not funny with this. We're trying to move the gel pad, and keep your eyes closed at all times unless I tell you that you can open them. Okay. If there's any discomfort whatsoever, though, let me know immediately. So I'm going to take a very large amount of this, and we're going to roll this starting at the mid of the lash. But we got to get it right up to the base. So you see heavy of that application. And when we're doing a chemical, it wouldn't matter if I were teaching to tint lashes or if I'm teaching this. When we do a chemical, we roll away. You don't ever want to roll that up into her eye because her eye is naturally closed and it's going to protect her. But you see, I'm not being irresponsible with it. you gotta use enough. So when you see those little white crystallized things on people's lashes, it's because people are scared to death to use enough of this to actually get it to work. And a gel remover is just that. We can go in if there are a few lashes left and do a manual removal, do a banana peel. But remember, if we're doing that, we're putting trauma on the natural lashes. So the whole point of this is that we let this gel remover do its job. So it goes on, and it usually needs to stay on for 3 to 5 minutes, and it will start to break down those blobs. Now, I will let you know, it can kind of heat up the eyes a little because you are getting right there and touching the skin, oftentimes, especially if they've adhered to what I'm talking about as far as burning. If this gets in the eyes, it feels like hellfire. So making sure that they know that there should be no discomfort whatsoever or irritation to the eyes. To see how heavy that is. And I like to use a doe foot applicator. I do not like to use a microfiber because this is going to give us a little more pressure to start wiggling this. You're still doing okay? Yes. Okay, so heavy, heavy layer, and then we just wait. And you can see I dispense this into a separate little jelly cup. If you choose to use a glue ring, you can. I've seen people do that, but it's really not enough. So I like to use either a jade stone or a crystal or a disposable jelly cup like this. Remember, no double dipping for sanitation. And so I've got my tweezers here. I have my fan. I've got my sanitizer. I kind of have like a full setup, but the doe foot applicator is always my applicator of choice. I've also seen people when they do this because there's gel. I don't like the spray. I do like the gel remover because it acts really quickly. The cream remover, I don't mind if you use it, but the thing about cream remover is it's going to be a lot slower. So if you're wanting to get this done quickly, because time is money whenever you're in the treatment room, a gel remover is going to be the way to go. It's just people, especially whenever they're new, and for students, they like to use the cream remover because you're scared that you're going to get this in their eyes. But you can see she's elevated, so I don't have her laying back and tilted back, so it's not going to roll back into her eye. That's why I like using a little chair like this, or if you have a hydraulic bed, just elevate them. Make sure the legs are up for this. And so what I'll start doing, because I started my application here and it's just been a couple of minutes, I'm going to take the side of this so you can see with that little doe foot applicator. And what I'm going to do is press that down and away. So when we do a removal of any chemical, never ever towards the eyes, right? We're always down and away. We're never trying to push that in towards the eyes. So I'm going to start here and I'm just going to wiggle and see what I can get to come off. There we go. So you can see they should just slide off like that, and that's why you want to have your paper towel there. If they aren't sliding off like that for you, give it more time. But you have to let that gel remover do its job. Now, lashes that are this heavy are very, very irresponsible, especially now she's a young woman. She's got strong, healthy lashes, so they'll grow back. If you do this on someone who doesn't have strong, healthy lashes, you're going to break their lashes off. And so what you oftentimes hear is, well, you just need to take a break from lashing. No, if people are lashing irresponsibly and not putting too heavy of a fan for too long of a lash on your natural lashes, you should be able to wear them indefinitely. And be patient with this. And you can see I'm not double dipping because I've already dipped into this. I'm only using it on her, but if I had to dispense more, I would dispense it into my cup. So I'm going to put some more on there. That they use a lot of adhesive in this outer corner. A lot. Still rolling it out and away from the eye. All of those came up. And do not force them, because if you start forcing these, you're going to pull the eye open, and that gel remover is going to go directly into her eye, and you'll have to rinse immediately. And then start over. So I'm going to put a little bit more on this, and then just let that set, and then I'm going to check the other side. Now, what I have seen is that kind of like tilt-a-whirl technique that they do, one on the bottom, one on the top. Once you get a little bit more experience and comfort under your belt, you can do that. So that's where you would take these and sandwich them. And this is also if you were doing a bonder, you could put the after bonder on two of these or two of the little microfibers and you just sandwich where the bonds would be. But I'm sure that you've seen this technique before where you go underneath and you're kind of tilting them up and away. Be careful with that before you know what you're doing, because what will happen is as soon as you put pressure there, what's going to happen? You're going to open it up. Mhm, exactly. So I have no challenge with Ambrielle, who is an excellent lash artist. She would always teach it like that. And I said, well, girl, it's fabulous whenever you do it, but whenever these girls are brand new, what's going to happen? And then she taught it like that one time and never taught it like that again, because she's like, oh, great, and I didn't even think they wouldn't know. There's a lot of stuff going through, and this can be a little nerve-wracking, so be patient with yourself. And you can see she's being good, but this is, you oftentimes get clients, it's just like whenever you're lashing them, that they want to talk. And if they want to talk when you're putting on lash extensions and they can keep their eyes still, well, that's all good, but this is not a time when you would have them talking. So still scooping that out and running. They did a number on this outer corner. Don't laugh. And the other thing that I would tell them is, like, if they started to feel discomfort, like, don't squint, just immediately get your bottle and start rinsing. But you can see why you have to charge for this, because if you don't, some people do a free removal. This, like I said, sometimes can take an hour if it's really, really bad. And so you're not getting paid for that hour that you're in the treatment room. So I would always have a consultant actually see what I was dealing with. And if they're coming in for removal, and then usually that's followed by a full set, but you can't promise that either, because once all of this is gone, I would have to assess for natural lash what kind of shape they were in, and then I may or may not be able to apply lash extensions to her. Send her home with a growth serum and say, come back and see me in a month. There's that vein of thought, or the other vein of thought, which I mean is not ethical, but I do get it because people have to make money. Well, if I don't lash her now, somebody else is, so lash her with a shorter lash. So I get all sides of the business, and I know what people are thinking back there. But if you do this responsibly, that really does build your reputation a lot better than just, we're going to do this for some money. So they're coming slowly but surely. Okay, now I'm going to be right here. I want someone to sanitize their hands. Someone's going to take over for me. Okay. So someone sanitize your hands, and then you'll have that paper towel. And I'm right here, sweetie. Make sure you keep your eyes closed. You want to put a paper towel on top of her head, and then use cool dough puts. And let her know exactly what you were doing. Stay in constant communication. If she feels any discomfort, we can immediately flush her eyes and start over.
Keep going.
Okay. And you can put it in, you can go ahead and put on that a little bit more. You can doll up on some more.
Starting your right eye.
Okay.
And with this, what I think of, what I would tell you is, imagine if your eyes were closed and you were trusting your ocular health to someone that you didn't know, or even someone that you did, even if it's your girlfriend. That's scary, right? So that's why we stay in constant contact with them. Let them know what to expect. Because their eyes are closed. You could be doing God only knows, you know what I mean? So make sure we're staying in contact.
I can feel how some of them are really released.
So put on more, a heavier layer. And one thing I will say, remember hair back.
Put a little more, okay?
Okay.
Oh, yes. Sorry, right here.
Yep, and think of it like you're frosting a cake, but a visible, heavy layer of that. Just don't be afraid of it. That's what leaves those little crystallized pieces that look white in the lashes if you don't use enough.
Oh.
And I usually have to check and see. You'll start to see it, like in those, that's what I was saying, in that outer corner. I had to pack it on in her right outer corner because they used so much adhesive. There were a lot of extension to extension stickies. And remember, whenever we talked about in the volume chapter, when we talked about in the volume chapter, how if those lashes don't have, because technically there should be a little drop in the center, right? And that's why we don't like for you to use the easy fin lashes. They should be wrapping all of those with T-bars, so they're just teetering, and what they did to get them to stick is overuse adhesive. Use some more remover on that. Just really leave a thick layer right there at the base. You kind of roll it away. So yeah.
I'm gonna go to your right hand.
So oftentimes people feel like this has to burn. If this is done correctly, this should never burn or be uncomfortable for your client. We're getting there, and it's been about what, probably about 15 minutes. I think the school price for a gel removal is like $5. And maybe it's 10. Is it 10? It's on. I'd have to get the menu on there. But we just, because you're in a learning environment, but it's not unrealistic. I mean, you could tell them if, depending on what you're seeing, how bad of shape the lashes are in. Don't be afraid to say, this is going to be like double for that. You can start charging more than that, because if it's taking longer than 30 minutes to get them off, that's ridiculous. That means that somebody didn't apply them correctly. We also see this a whole lot whenever people don't take care of them at home. So if we're not instructing on proper aftercare that they should be washing every single day, I've seen people mount them and essentially create just a nest of stickies and crust there. And you can't, no matter what you do to cleanse them, you can't get it off. So you have to do a gel removal. Because you can get these little doe foot applicators, the little lip gloss ones, and even I've tried scrubbing like right along the eye to remove that buildup, and it wouldn't do anything, it wouldn't budge. It's simply because people don't take care of it.
Okay.
Okay, so if something burns, we are immediately going to flush tilt for me. Are you doing?
Okay.
So if that starts to migrate up into the eye, that's going to burn. How you doing? Yeah, so you can't get timid if she says that it's going to burn. And what I'm going to tell you is on this side, we're going to go ahead and rinse it too, because if I start messing with this, I'm going right and sweet. And then what we're going to do is flush the eyes with this ophthalmic solution. I'm going to remove the gel pads, keep your eyes closed, and don't squint, don't squint, don't squint, don't squint. Open up. Go right in. And this is where we would do that medical flush. So what I'm going to do is put this here, and then we're going to squeeze that right into her. She has that clamp down like a snapping turtle.
Just relax, girl, so I can get in your eye.
I don't like this one.
Your mom?
Almost.
On this side. Put that saline in there.
Tilt. There we go. I like pull her eye. She's like a snapping turtle.
That's why I don't do contacts. I don't like things like
How's it feeling?
better. It's good.
Better?
Yeah.
Be burning still?
No.
So I'm gonna make sure. And if they can't open their eye, you can have them flutter it, but I don't even think she can flutter for me. Good Lord.
There you go.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
That feels good.
Telling you.
Well, because this drops the pH of the eye back to what it should be. So that's the reason that I have to be able to actually get it into her eye. So my coworker Shelly used to be like this, so I'm like, girl. So we start that stream.
Just breathe.
There we go.
relax.
Yeah, you should see the white of her eye. There we go. Stop burning. It's not burning. Side. Yeah, that's where I don't want you guys to be scared. So you can see the white of her eye where that's going in, and this is sterile saline solution. Make sure you can see the white of her eye, and don't feel like you're. I did have to kind of like manhandle her and kind of try her, but that's for her own good. Okay?
Yeah, no, it's a lot better.
Yeah, and so, but with that, if they say that they're hurting, I think that what happens is that because you guys, if you've not worked in the medical field at all, you immediately think, oh my God, what am I going to do? That's a stop immediately and rinse. That's all that it is. So, like, don't freak out. Don't seize up. You can stop immediately and rinse. And then we can get one more pack of gel pads, please. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want the phone?
I'll do. I'm gonna
Oh.
fry the rest of these.
Oh.
Well, when I say fry, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Manual removal. Girl. That's why I'll need to know how to do it though, because what happens is, oh, well, these are always going to burn and they're going to do that. That is a jelly form of acetone, and so it can cause blindness if there's prolonged exposure or permanent damage to the sclera or the retina of the eye. So yeah, don't be afraid, but just get in there and do it. Okay, open it for me. I'll see if there's anything left. Close. And then obviously, if she had this type of like irritation, we're gonna do a full cleanse after this, and then make sure that there's no visible residue and she's nice and dry. If she had this type of irritation, we want to make sure her eyes were nice and dry before we went in and applied any extensions, obviously. And she just had a couple over here, but because those have been softened by the remover, I think that we should be able to just do a banana peel. Manually pull those apart. But you guys can see right here, do you see this kind of gel stuff? Right? That would be the white film whenever people don't use enough remover. I don't want to do remover on her and irritate her again, but here they applied that to like 7 natural lashes in her outer corner. So of course that's going to cause traction and tension that we don't. it's less than desirable. And her eyelashes might not grow back if you do that for prolonged periods of time. Okay, so we'll
Get you
just.
some castor oil.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Castor oil is probably the easiest, well, because it's a natural disinfectant and it's antimicrobial. And it also promotes hair growth because it keeps it from clogging the follicle. Yeah, they use a big 100 adhesive on this girl. So it's a delicate balance when you're learning. You don't want too much, obviously, because this can happen. But if you don't have enough, you don't get retention. Just got that one little place there. And I can see just a little bit on her waterline, so we're gonna apply just a tiny bit more of the gel remover. So keep your eyes closed for me. Because if you don't, whenever you do this, if you don't use more gel remover, as soon as those get dry, those are going to look like little crystallized white pieces, and this is the only way that you can avoid that. But I don't have to get as close this time, because most all of it's been removed. So we almost got through it, but do not panic. Like that's the thing. Do not panic. Just immediately grab that. Start flushing. So for any chemical service, you've got to have a lot of paper towels. You've got to have your stuff right there. And for sanitation, yeah, you would want the little trash can here so that you could get rid of it. But I didn't have one, so you just throw it wherever so that she's not burning. And here, I'm not really focusing on removing lash extensions. I'm focusing on removing that residual adhesive that was a little bit goofy right at the waterline. Yeah, I never want to make you guys afraid of them because these do happen all the time. Just get a feel for how aggressive you can be or immediately what you need to do to flush the eyes. Because until you've established a clientele, you'll be doing gel removals from a lot of people. I just take one woman in the outer corner that I'm going to banana peel, and then I think she'll be good to go. And now that I can see that she doesn't like getting water in her eyes, that's going to make flushing so much fun. You see that big piece of adhesive right there? The base of the lash. So they just globs that on. Not just overuse of adhesive, but make sure that you can hold that isolation, because your isolation is going to be key for ensuring that you don't do that. So that is just good. Well, that's two. I'm not wanting to have. And how do we do that bottom left application yesterday? Did everyone practice? You don't mind, Jamie?
I yesterday went over today.
I heard.
No, I've been here yesterday.
When I hear you, I'm like, yeah.
I didn't say yeah. I didn't say nothing.
I heard lies, all lies. Okay, so I am going to start by rinsing with her gel pads on. Under no circumstances do you open your eyes to. I'm going to start on your left eye. Oops. Trying to push that away. Going to the right. And again, with her elevated like this, sometimes that will go down the cheek, so I'd rather that. I'm gonna remove your gel pads, and in no circumstances do you open your eyes. And you have to tell them that because people think that it's like an immediate relief, and that's what they want to do is open their eyes. Fold this in half and then in quarters. After I feel like I've removed the majority of all of the gel remover, then we're going to go in and do a full cleanse. More chest to make sure. Right, doing okay, sweetie?
Yes.
Okay, and then can I have some thumbs on your face? Your eyes closed for me. And have a jelly cup. Usually you always want to put this in a jelly cup.
What's a jelly cup?
That's that.
Oh, okay.
A little plastic disposable cup. I'm not going to be overly aggressive here because if there's any of that residual gel remover, I don't want to get it into her eyes. But make sure back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to try and get as much of that residue out as you can. And then we're going to go in and immediately rinse. And after we rinse, we get to do our favorite part, which is the flush, the taper. You have to flush. It's not optional because if she has any dry gel remover during the day, if her eye waters or anything, it will liquefy and then start burning.
Mm.
And she won't be under your care any longer. So don't ever leave them like that. And then you'll go in. We're going to do her favorite part. Okay, so you always start the string first. So here for me. You want to start the string first, and you can use your index finger or you can use your thumb. I choose to use my thumb. We're going to start that string. There we go. Make sure you can see the white of the eye. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. There we go. And immediately that drops the pH of the eye. So it should kill any type of stinging or irritation that she has. Okay, so the other side, same thing. You only want to make sure that you've gotten all of it out. So any itching, tingling, stinging, burning, do you need me to flush again? You okay?
Okay.
You sure?
Additional.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Open
The light.
Yeah, the light. I'm looking at the light.
It feels okay now, itching and burning.
Mm.
Do you want to do one?
Yeah, just one more. Just
Okay. So here.
I'm like, she thought about it too.
Well, no, because if there's any irritation, you want to get it now, because this will kill any of it. It's just like for people like me who have really bad allergies. So and the other thing is always make sure they take out the contacts before this, because God help you if you don't. And she just has one little lash here that we can get with a banana peel, but that's it. Okay, so try and open it better for me. Any itching, tingling, stinging, burning?
No.
Okay. Close for me. And on this left eye, I'm going to banana peel this off. Because yeah, it's never just a full wash, it's a full flush. And there was a little bit of adhesive here. Do y'all see if these are clung together? So she might get a little bit of crystallization from that, but it wouldn't hurt to be overly sensitive. And so after this, you could take, I'm going to take a spoolie. We'll do a little lash blowout on her, and then she would be ready to lash, or we would send her home with the appropriate serum and rebook her appointment. But you have to stay in contact with them because people would say that all the time. I'm like, do you need another flush? And then they open it. I'm like, girl. That's why I'm here. Just make sure that everything's separated. And you can see it didn't do a lot of damage to her eyes, but they were only on for, or her lashes rather. They were only on for a couple of weeks. She does have a little bit of gapping in those outer corners, and then you can see the crimping of her natural lashes where there was some traction from the weight. And that's to be expected. I'm right here. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. All right. So that is the gel removal. Now the gel removal slides with best practices, of course, live there, but I like you guys to see the process from start to finish. So with this, I cannot stress enough keeping in contact with your guests at all times and letting them know what's going on. Gel pad. What is different about the gel pad in this service?
A gel pad
Mhm.
for lashes are over.
Exactly. Her lashes are over it. So please resist the urge to put that on top of it. Why do I not want to put that on top of the lashes for a gel removal?
So this is for eye care.
Exactly, because it's going to put a little bit more tension there. And product is key. So heavy handed with your product and making sure to scoop that out and away. And 5 to 10 minutes. Let it set for 5 to 10 minutes before you go in and poke. And cannot stress enough. You can see I used that entire mound of paper towels that we have there. Have your paper towels, make sure that everything is close because if it burns for any reason, rinse it and we can always start over. You would rather that than hurt. Okay. Okay. So what questions might we have about gel removal? Does that feel better? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So you would take her through aftercare if you were going to lash her, but again, that's why we have to charge for those appointments because it does take quite a bit of time because we started that at 10:45 and it's 11:28, so that was 45 minutes, right? In real time, that would have been $100 added to the service because you can't. Oh yeah, for that, yeah, because those were incorrectly done. I would have because it's 45 minutes of your time. If you're not doing at your level, whenever you're new without experience, I probably without a ton of experience. I would probably charge 75, but where I am in the salon or if I'm working in the treatment room, like I said, for lashes, a lot of corrective work. I'm more so working behind the chair doing hair, a lot of corrective work for lashes, and then lash lifting and tinting. I book myself so that I'm usually at 150 to 200 an hour. But remember, I've been doing this for 15 years, so. But at your level, yeah, it would not be. I don't think that it would be too much to ask for $75 for a 45-minute service. That's a big part of your day. All right. Okay. So I'll stop the recording and then we'll post this later. And if you guys have questions at home after you view this, you can always email me just braden@3dlashandbra.com.
Love it.
And start recording.
Thank you for tuning in on my YouTube channel.
Oh, you're talking to y'all without the mic. Okay, so do you guys have any questions? Just like Mr. Braden said, do you have any questions? Yes, Margarita, what do you have?
Sorry. I do. So whenever with the issue that they had to rinse, so you immediately rinse with distilled water and then you do the solution
Yes.
and then you want them to open their eyes or flutter their eyes so that it can get inside the actual eye.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And that's kind of part of where some people will get scared or they're afraid. But once you see the relief in your client, you're like, okay, I did that right. Okay. So a lot of what we do, there's a lot of fear behind it, but you've got to let that fear drive you so that you can work through it and tackle it. That way, the next time it comes around, you're like, oh, I got this. Okay.
And then one more with that. So he did a saline at the end. Was that just because she had an issue at the beginning? Like you wouldn't normally.
Well, she was still saying that she had a sensation. So he went through and re-rinsed it.
Oh, okay.
And you can go back and rewatch it again. It is in your classroom. Do you know how to find it in your classroom? Here,
I
let
don't
me,
think
I'll pull up another screen and I'll show you. Give me 2 shakes of a lambtail. Okay, so I'm going to share the tab. All right. So now I'm going to pull my screens apart so that way I can see y'all. Okay, so right here. Here's your classroom for specialty lash, right? So here is all your posts, right? So anything that you want to watch. Apparently somebody posted iMappy. Oh, you know what? Okay, never mind. So now you'll go to classwork. Okay, so you have all these different sections under your classwork, right? And so right here, it's your academic calendars, and there's 2 different ones. And the reason being is, and let me see, because there's so much going on in the school. If you look at this one is showing you the school closure. So all the bright red are when we're going to be closed. And then, so if you're in aesthetics, you have a mini class, and then purple, that's aesthetics, that's their state board. Then on campus lash, and any student on campus, they have friends and family days. So that pertains to them. And then for you guys that are online, and those of you that are hybrid, when you hit 220 hours in your specialty lash program, you need to sign up for the mock state board. So this orange are when I do mock state boards. So you see, I do it every other week. But notice in November and December, it's only once. Okay. And that's simply because of the school closures. And then if you see the bright blue, okay, so this is the wrong calendar. Then the bright pink is your threading day. So they did it on the 15th, and the next one should be October 20th, and so on and so forth. Okay. That calendar. Now, if you go to the next calendar, and I know I'm getting off topic, I always do. You'll see where here we have the purple where it's the hours are due. This blue is every first Thursday of the month. Campus is closed. And then this orange on this calendar, commitment forms and invoices are due. And then in the maroon, we do mock inspections. Okay, because TDLR does inspect us because we are a school, and we do provide services. So they'll pop in about every 6 months and do an inspection. Okay, and so again, red is the school closure. All right, so now we get out of that. You've got who to contact, a blank commitment form for the hybrid students that need to fill in a commitment form, your updated student handbook. So if you have any questions about rules and regs for yourself, you can open that. Then how-to videos. So how to upload homeworks and assignments. If you still have questions about that, you can watch this video and that should guide you through it. Then your weekly hours recording. So SEMA and Google Classroom, this is Braden explaining how that works. And then your weekly hours overview, that's another video of Mr. Braden explaining that, okay? So now you'll see it started April, it goes through May, then June, right? So you're gonna have to open that up and go to your most current week. So here we are for this week. So your assignments, or I'm sorry, any recordings that you have that you've done for this week will go in there, okay? Because our data entry people are not going to go back to the previous week or the previous week to see if you have anything turned in. So it's got to be in that week. Unless you say, oh my God, I forgot, send an email to Mr. Braden and say, I forgot, or I clicked the wrong tab and I uploaded my hours in this tab. That way they'll know where to go look. Okay. Then any lecture recordings will go here. So we have Lash 101, orientation, guest speaker, threading with Sumi, volume lashes lectures. So these are previous ones from September. Consultations, was that me? No, that was Braden. Okay, so consultations, threading, lash removal, that's Braden. And then we had another guest speaker. Okay, now you can go back and watch older videos because they're all here. All right. And there's different educators. I always mark mine with MP because those are my initials. but you'll have Braden, you may have Cynthia, you may have LA, whoever's teaching, okay? Everybody has a different teaching style, and everybody has been certified or licensed by different schools. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, because there's more than one way to do these things, okay? Then use student materials. You'll go in here, important forms, practical requirements, and graduation requirements, and here's your curriculum. Then an advising session. Here you can schedule your advising session if you need to. And then if you missed theory for week 1 or week 2, you can come back in here and open this up. When you open this up, you'll see all the assignments that are there, and then the videos if you missed any of them, okay? You won't submit work here, so let me just go in and delete that comment because that shouldn't be there. I'm sure she got an answer. Don't think I'm being mean. Okay, then you can go back if you want to jump ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to watch this and then I'm going to be ready for class next Monday with my questions. Okay, week 5, that's going to be kind of self-paced, just because week 5 is marketing, and it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's basically going to be, if I were to teach it, it would be me reading off of the slides. So that's something that you can do on your own. So week 5 is usually new class start. So that Monday you won't have a lecture. It'll be for the new people starting. Week 6, you won't have a new lecture. You'll just come in and read and pull it open. Okay. And then you're kind of going from there by yourself. Now, if you want to jump into a lecture that you're like, you know what, I want to see how Miss Monica teaches, whatever, you can jump into the Monday lectures. That's your choice. Okay. Then when you hit the 220 hours, this is where you're going to come into this document and you see all the dates for the rest of the year. You'll pick your day, and then you're going to open up this document, and on your end, you're going to be able to type in your information, and then you're going to submit it. Okay. And then this is what I check to see who I'm going to have on what days and what classes they're going to be here. And I go by this. Now, if you've not signed up, it may be that I'm full and they'll tell you didn't sign up on the document. I'll need you to sign up on another day. So just make sure that you sign up, because sometimes these classes fill up and other days I don't have anybody in the class. You know what I mean? So just making sure that you sign up the way we ask you to sign up, because it makes life easier for everybody involved. Uh-oh. It kicked y'all out. Hang on. Okay. Then when it is time for you to do your mock state board, I highly suggest and recommend that you go through and open all of these tabs, because you're going to have the bulletin. We go over the bulletin. Then you're going to have your expectations. This is everything that's expected of you before you come to class. And it's very strict, because they are strict with you at the actual exam when you go. These are labels. I've made PDF so that you guys can print off your labels if you have a printer accessible, or you can just copy what's there and label your bags. Here is everything that you need. If you did not get the, or if you haven't received your TDLR book in the mail, the rules and regulations, here you go. There's a soft copy here for you to study the material, because this information, or some of it, will be on your written exam when you go take your test. And here is that other document that you will study. Now, what the state of Texas did was they included codes, rules, and regulations, because that's what students were failing the most. Okay, so you've got to study that. Then here is your state board packing list. Now, here, there's one where it says a 30-gallon trash bag. You don't need it, or 13-gallon. You just need a kitchen size. And I don't know where I put it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. But this is everything that you'll need. And these are suggestions where you can go and purchase. I try to make it as easy as possible for you guys. Can y'all see that? Nope. Hang on. So here's the list. Okay. This will tell you everything that you need for your state board kit. There should be nothing extra. And I'll know if you're watching other videos, because you're going to walk into class, or you're going to show up to class with things and extra plastic baggies, or you're going to walk in with makeup wipes. You don't need all that. All of these pictures that are in this, oh, it's not showing you. Hang on. It did it again. Okay, so this is showing you, this is the box that I use. This is my kit here at school, and that's how it should be labeled. And then here's what your first bag is going to have, and that's how your items need to be labeled. Then it goes to the next image, and it shows you how to pack the bag, okay? Now, bigger is not better. Try to get a small bottle, not a big one, okay? Not those janitorial size bottles, because that's going to be so hard for you. Here's the next bag and how to label your items. Your adhesive needs to be labeled. That one doesn't have a label on it. This is what it'll look like. You're going to have 2 baggies, and that's how they should be packed. And then those 2 baggies will go in the big bag. So it's pretty simple. I try to make it as easy as possible for everybody to understand. All of these 4 items will go in this baggie. Okay. Now, if you have just gauze, then just that gauze needs to go in its own baggie, and then all of it will go in that bag. Okay. Because it needs to be sanitary per the state. All right. Then it shows you how to pack it. And here I left the gloves out, but that's not a big deal. You can just put them in there. And then that's how it goes. And that's how your kit should be packed when you come to class, whether you're online or in-house. Okay. Then once you've done that, then we go through and I teach you how to do the state board. That class is usually about 3 hours long, and people are like, what? But it takes 3 hours. And I'm very serious about that one. Okay. And then let's see. Well, what happened? Hang on. I keep losing y'all. Hang on. And sometimes I'll just post. Or like if somebody graduates, I'll post that somebody has graduated, and that's just recognition because you guys are online, and y'all can chime in and congratulate the person if you would like to. Okay, so there's the labels, practical mock board, that's all that information there. And then there's a video of me doing it. Now that video is an older video. It is updated. I'm sorry, I'll get to you, Karen, in just a second. So this video is an older video. I've got feedback on what to change. So when you come to class with me, whether in-house or online, it will be a little bit different, but that video will still get you passed. Okay. For the mock do online students have to go to campus to take the exam? No. So here's what happens. So the mock board is on campus. Mock meaning a run through. I teach you how to do it. When you go to take your actual state board exam, the school will schedule that for you. You'll have a conversation with your advisor, and then you'll give them dates that you want, and it's a whole process, okay? They'll have to find wherever you're at, they'll have to find the location so that you can test in Texas, and then you will go to the testing site, right? So here in Dallas, if there's 2 locations, one is written and one is practical. So you go to 2 different locations to test. It used to be just one, but COVID hit, so they separated everything because that facility is a little bit smaller. There's another location in Arlington. I believe it's just one location. And then Fort Worth, maybe, I forget. But there's locations in El Paso, Abilene, Lubbock, Amarillo, San Antonio, like there's a bunch of locations, okay? So you'll just find what's close to you, or you can map it out to see what's close to you. But we talk about that during that class, and I'll tell you all the locations that are available, so on and so forth, okay? So that test is not taken here at school. You go to an actual PSI facility, okay? All right, and then your practical requirements, online students. Everything that's here is what you guys need to do because you are not on campus. So all of these practicals, you have to do them. So pretend that each line is a new client. So you will use a new lash strip to do these, okay? They're not combined, that we're not crazy. Oh, y'all put more than one, y'all shouldn't have. No, it's all about repetition. Repetition is key to building your skill, okay? So you do have to do all of these practicals before you graduate. You have to have these all done. You also have to have your SEMA completed before you graduate. So if you haven't jumped in there and you haven't been working on it, I highly suggest and recommend that you get caught up, because what you don't want is at the end and you have 100 hours and you're trying to do 80 hours worth of work. It's not possible. Okay, so jump on your SEMA now. And if you don't have time, you need to make time. Okay, because you do have to have it completed. All right. Okay, any questions after all of that? So that's where you find everything in your Google Classroom. Everything's there. But your SEMA homework is in your SEMA. Does that make sense? Your practical work is here. Yeah? Everybody understands that part? Yes, Margarita.